Today on the pod, I talk with Greg Gallaway. Coach Gallaway talks about coaching football and basketball at Shelby High School, why he chose to attend Ashland University, and the new facilities coming to Shelby. Hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Bases Loaded podcast. I'm your host, Gabe Kennedy, and today my guest is Greg Gallaway. Coach, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Just bought a grill. That's been on the bucket list this summer, and I got the cheapest, best thing I could get the other day. So now I'm just waiting to throw some brats and burgers on there and get after. Are you a grill master or not?
Absolutely not. No. I like to go over to my buddy's house that are grill masters, and I'll just be a guest. So I'm not too good on the grill. No.
So you're one of those guys who you try to organize something and then you're like, well, you can have it at your place. I won't host. You guys can have it at your place.
Yeah, that's totally me. Yeah.
Good deal. So how old are you and what do you do?
I'm 28 years old. I'm an intervention specialist at Shelby High School, and I'm current head basketball coach there as well. And I'm an assistant varsity football coach at Shelby as well.
So coaching two sports, your summer has got to be completely, full as far as your schedule goes. How's it been so far?
It's been good. Accepting the job like the start of June, and with basketball was kind of crazy, trying to get a schedule set for June and July, and knowing how important those months are. But it went really well. We got a schedule together. Kids were in competing, and then with football has been going great too. We've been able to balance both, so it's been going really smooth.
I'd say with basketball, we talked about this a little bit before. How difficult is it coming in and almost in, a lot of the kids, obviously, teaching at Shelby and coaching football, but some of the kids maybe you don't know as well. And all of a sudden now you're getting after them a little bit in these camps and practice and stuff in the summer. And it's almost like, maybe they don't know how to take you, or you don't know how to take them. Is that a learning curve for you and the kids a little bit?
And absolutely. I think it just takes some time to grow that relationship with the kids. And like you said, I know some of those kids from football and from school, and even the kids I've coached with football the past 2 years, they don't know me. They didn't know me from a basketball perspective either. So it kind of it was still a new experience for everyone. But, like you said, it was kind of just throwing in the fire at first. But I think, these 2 months in June and July have been great with just getting to know the kids and connecting with them. So yeah, it takes a while, but it's been going really good.
Good deal. So for you personally, what was your life like growing up being around sports?
That's a good question. I mean, at a young age, it was like, I think, like for birthday presents and like stuff as a kid, like all I wanted was like some form of like a ball, like a basketball, a baseball, or a football. So, it's just one of those things growing up in the neighborhood. You're either playing wiffle ball, basketball out in the driveway, or backyard football. It was constant, like all the way up through. Shoot, we even did that in high school as well. So that was, a part of my life, from a very early age with all those sports. And, it was even cool at a young age. I was a ball boy for Ashland High School as well. So, being a part of that and was awesome, and being with, idolizing those high school kids and, watching them, go on and be successful is pretty cool. So
as a ball boy, was it one of those things where, now you have a little bit different perspective as a coach with these ball boys run around, and sometimes, you're like, wow, they're probably looking up to these kids or maybe even these coaches as bigger than life, like you did at one time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, when you gave like a all conference guy a water bottle, like after a timeout, he like gives you a high five or something, like you just thought that was the best thing ever. And it's pretty cool. But yeah, I love those times, and being able to be behind the scenes, like in the locker room with the guys too, was pretty cool, being on the bus in 3rd and 4th grade. So yeah, it was awesome.
That's all. So you mentioned the, birthday presents and sports related stuff. Were you the type of kid, and we did not talk about this, were you the type of kid for like trick or treat that always wore like a sports jersey or something like that? Like, because I did that. I had a Troy Aikman. I did for like 8 years in a row, I feel like.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but I definitely was I can vividly remember one Halloween. I had a Mariners Ichiro Suzuki like shirt jersey, and like he had like the goatee and like
Yeah.
the my sister with like a Sharpie did that on, like I was Ichiro for Halloween once. Crazy.
So other kids are putting like fake blood and stuff on. You're like, no, I'm gonna do the facial hair.
Exactly, yeah. So that
Uh,
pretty sure I was definitely like a football guy, basketball guy, or baseball guy, like probably over 50% of my Halloweens growing up. So yeah, that's funny.
love it, love it. So fast forward a little bit there. You decide to go to Ashland University, and you're going to play football, and you actually play a little bit of basketball too there, right?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, so I started off going there to play football, and after 2 years there was an opportunity that presented itself to be able to walk on the basketball team. And it's kind of crazy how it happened. In the off season stuff, like any downtime, we just go to the rec and just play like pickup basketball. And I remember one of the assistant coaches, his name was Blake Saunders. He was like just, hanging out in the rec, and they're at the start of their season. And like he just approached me like, hey, we're low on guys with injuries, and I think there was a couple other things where they didn't even have enough guys to go like 5-on-5 with like a true scout team. And he's like, hey, would you be willing to help us out and just practice with us? And I did that for a little bit, and eventually it grew like into like I really enjoyed this, and talking to Coach Ellenwood, there was a walk-on opportunity, and I ended up doing that for the next 2 years, and it was pretty awesome. So
That is really cool. Do you still
it is.
maintain friendship and close connection with those people you played football and basketball with at
Yeah,
Ashland?
absolutely, yeah. So it was cool getting a chance to play those sports, and I think like what you said, that the best part is all the relationships that you were able to develop between football and basketball. um, Obviously I see a lot of those guys still today with coaching, whether it be at a clinic, or seeing Coach Ellenwood on like the recruiting trail or something like that. And you know they'll never hesitate to approach me and say hey. And then there's a lot of players that I played with too that are still playing professionally with basketball or coaching like high school sports like I am, that I stay in contact with a lot. So it's pretty cool seeing that go around full circle.
Absolutely. So you kicked at Ashland, correct?
Yeah.
What? So explain that. I mean, kicking is one of those things where literally, like the good and the bad, you see for a couple seconds. Nobody knows the work you're putting into it. Is that one of those things where you've got ice in your veins, or are you like, dude, I hope we score here. I hope we go for two. What was it?
It's funny, like um it was always such a relief to like to to get like that first extra point out the way. Like just see one go through and be like, okay, I'm good. Um, but yeah, it does get nerve wracking. I probably over kicked that net on the sideline just because I wanted to make sure like, I was ready to go. But kicking is like a unique position in football, and it's I'd say like 90% up mental, So but I loved every bit of it though. I've been on the good side of it, like where you make a kick at the end of the game, and I've been on the other end too, where you miss one that could cost the game. Everyone wants to be a kicker until like stuff like that happens. So
Absolutely, the old pump, pass, and kick competition. In
yep,
camp as a little kid, everyone wants to show that off. But
exactly. Yep.
did you have a routine after a made field goal or extra point with like your holder?
Yeah, I just made sure to dap up the holder. That was a good hold, and then I tried to meet everyone on the line for protecting, and try to be that good guy, that good kicker that thanked everyone, and then try to bust my butt to get ready for kickoff. And after that, so
Love
yeah,
it.
I try to like make sure I said thank you because I wanted them to keep blocking and holding for me too, as the future went on. So
Absolutely, kind of important, kind of important.
yeah.
So explain that, because it's something that I kind of thought was a given, but you kind of went the other way with this. Your decision to go to AU, being a guy that went to Ashland High School, you go to AU. Was that an obvious thing that like, yeah, I might as well go here because I live right here, or what?
I really never envisioned myself ever going to Ashland University just because of that. I've lived here my whole life. It's I want to do something else, and even like looking at schools early, like I didn't like go on campus at Ashland. I went to a bunch of other schools first, and then they started recruiting me for football, and the cool part was there's a bunch of Ashland High School grads that were playing football at Ashland University, like Taylor Housewright, Greg Berkshire, Logan Kerr, Tyler McFarland. So like when I was on those recruiting visits, I was able to talk with them. I think I even stayed with my overnight. I stayed with like Greg Berkshire, who was the former kicker, and I'd ask him questions like that. Hey, being from Ashland, your whole life and going here, does that like is it something you regret or anything? And they were very honest with their answers, and they said it's kind of like a new experience. You lived here your whole life, but it's completely different when you're investing your time with your academics, your social life, your athletics. You're going to get the full college experience. So I don't regret it at all, and I would firmly agree with them that it was like you know a new experience. And the nice thing is like if I needed to go home, my parents' house was like 5 to 10 minutes away, so it was just an easy stroll down the road to go see them. So
Love it. Love it. Yeah, as I say, for a nice home cooked meal or laundry or whatever it is, it's right there, right?
I took advantage of that. Yes.
So who are some coaches that have inspired you so far up to this point?
I think I would first start with some of the coaches that I'm family with. One's got to start with my grandpa Valentine, George Valentine. He was a coach at Ashland High School. He taught there and he coached there for many years. Coached a lot of sports like basketball. It was an assistant with football. Was a track coach, and then did a lot with golf as well. And just hearing stories from other family members and about his teams and some of the players he had, and then hearing memories from some of his people like in the community at Ashland, it's really special. And it's pretty cool to that I was to hear that as his grandson. So he probably start with him, and then when I took my first teaching job, I went to Mapleton High School, and my cousin Matt Hess is a history teacher over there, and he coached girls basketball there for a long time. He's not coaching anymore, but he was a guy that I constantly went to with questions with the game, and then stuff outside of coaching, like those extra responsibilities where you just want to get someone else's perspective on things. So he's such a great resource that I still talk to a lot today. And then moving forward, like some of the coaches I had too, when I was a player, that I really looked up to, all my high school coaches, especially like a guy like Coach Valentine. He was, it's just so grateful to play for him for 4 years. And, he's even a guy today, like where if I give him a text or a call, he won't hesitate to get back with me and help out in any way he can. It's just the guy he is. And, I'm really thankful for that relationship I have with him. And, and same with the college coaches I had as well. And then, even coaches that I've coached with as well, and that I'm still coaching with, like a guy like Jason Hess, who's been coaching at Ashland High School for a while, and I was his assistant varsity for 3 years. I learned so much from him, and, he's really helped prepare me to take that next step to be a head coach, and is another guy that I can always talk to, and he'll help me out in any way. And then being with like a guy like Rob Mahaney for, I think this is year 6 with him. I started my first year coaching as an assistant football coach with him at Mapleton, and been with him at Shelby since. I've learned so much from Rob, and, he's been a great supporter in me, and I, can't thank him enough, over the years.
Absolutely. So speaking of Coach Mahaney, was it a package deal? when he got, offered the job at Shelby to be the head football coach? Was it one of those things where were you the first person he contacted and said, "Hey, man, if you're in, I'm in. If not, Shelby can go find somebody else," or what?
I don't think so with that. But I know he did mention something to me, like if I was interested, when he was looking for, a new job. And I told him definitely, I had an apartment in Ashland. I was ready for a new opportunity. And there just so happened to be a special ed opening at Shelby. And, I applied and was able to get that and still help him out with coaching. It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I worked out.
I was gonna say, for Coach Mahaney, that's got to be awesome. He's, on his staff, he's got the head, basketball coach and the head baseball coach. You don't have to mess with like, any kids specializing in one sport, right? It's like, no, we're gonna share them all because, right? you
Yeah,
can help each other out.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique like situation. I don't think there's many schools that probably are in that boat. But I will say one thing about Shelby is just, it just seems like, being at a couple other schools coaching, it seems like kids here at Shelby want to play multiple sports, so it's not even like we really got to fight for those kids either. It's like, they're willing to, and they want to play 3 sports and 2 sports, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome because I say this day and age, a lot of kids want to do one thing or they're burnt out of something because they've been doing it their whole life. Or that's good that they're doing multiple sports for sure.
Yeah.
What would you say your most proud moment so far as a coach has been?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd say, those 2 MOAC championships that we had in football here at Shelby have been really special. That's got to be up there. My last year at Mapleton, we were able to make the playoffs and go 2 rounds in the playoffs. That was a special senior class. That's some memories that I always cherish with Mapleton. And then even at Ashland too, we had the 3 years I coached there, we made a great run within the league, and we were able to win 2 sectional titles there in those 3 years, which it was always tough. I mean, Ashland's a school where, they're Division I in basketball, and they're pretty close. They're like at that, those numbers where they're less than 15 boys and for being Division II, and now they're asked to go compete against those Division I schools that almost have double your numbers. It was a tough situation, and being able to get 2 of those sectional titles was really special.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So pressure and expectations for football and basketball this season. You guys got, a lot of guys coming back. The talent is there. A lot of people are, hyping up the Shelby Whippets. How do you handle that? And not even so much as basketball, just with football starting here. How do you guys handle that as coaches?
I don't, it doesn't it's not discussed much, I would say, with I mean, I think our kids have a good idea and they know what the expectation is. It's pretty clear, being on, a regional finalist team from last year, our kids are hungry. We had, like you said, we had a lot of kids that played in that game and in those playoff games, and, they want to do anything they can to get back there. And, I'd say the same thing even with basketball. I mean, there's a lot of kids that played in that regional game last year that are going to be back for basketball. And, they know the work that that's that has to be put in to get to that level and compete for a conference championship every year. And so it's a great thing to have, high expectations from the kids, and watching those seniors, go out there and lead those teams and accomplish those goals. So it's pretty fun to be a part of that.
So for basketball, what is going to be your philosophy as far as coaching goes with your kids?
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a big month of June where we were able to have some practices and some shootouts, and we weren't able to put in like everything obviously going into the season, but talking with the staff, we wanted to focus on some things. And one thing is we want to play fast. Yeah, offensively we want to run in transition. We feel like we have athletes that can do that, that can run the floor and get transition points. And then on defense, we want to build to that, and we want to make teams get out of their comfort zone on offense and speed them up so we can play fast. And a cool thing too about that transition, with that being a main vocal point for us, they've been doing that the past 2 years. They've been running, they've been pressuring teams on defense. They've been up in the passing lanes. So it wasn't a new learning curve for those kids. Like that's what they want to do, and I think they really enjoy playing fast as well. So that's definitely going to be a staple of our program. Another thing too, I'd say would defensively, not even talking scheme or anything. We just we want to talk. Like we want to be those teams when you go in the gym and like they don't shut up on defense. That's something that I'd be really proud of. I mean, it's stuff that we worked on all summer. We want to be early with our talk. We want to be loud, and we want to be constant. There's not going to be many times when we're not going to be talking on defense. So those would be two big focuses for us, as the season pushes forward.
So how important is it that you were able to keep a couple of assistants from the previous staff?
Oh, it's awesome. A guy like Todd Karras, who's been coaching with Shelby for a long time. He's a teacher in the district. I remember even when I played at Ashland and against Shelby in a non-league game, I still remember. Like I remember Todd on the bench. So I think it's great that you're able to keep those guys and that have relationships with current players and that have been around the program, the tradition. And, I was very excited that, guys like Todd Karras and Steve Hoffbauer decided to keep helping out. So, yeah, it's awesome. I'm very thankful for that and grateful that we can keep guys, that know the tradition well at Shelby.
So we talked a little bit about this with the pre-pod, but facilities at Shelby, talk a little bit about what's coming, especially with football. We got new field. We talked a little bit about skies. We'll leave that off the air. I won't share my thoughts with that on air, but how exciting is this for kids, coaches, and the community that we got new facilities coming to Shelby?
Yeah, I think it's just, like you said, it's just an exciting time to be a community member at Shelby, and then even with the new building here, in a couple of years, those kids are going to have a brand new K-8 building right there on campus as well. But I think our like you said, our kids are just really looking forward to that, and being able to play on turf, and it's kind of cool. Like when we practice out there all summer on the track and seeing the stands being put in place, and I think our kids are are getting really hungry. Once that gets put and it's completely set up in a couple of years, hopefully. So I think they're really excited about it. I know we were talking about Skiles too, and I think we mentioned this, talking before, but being at Mapleton, it was like obviously a smaller school. I can't even tell you what a graduating class is there, but I remember that first game at Skiles, a home game, and looking up at the stands and everyone on the fence and the railing, and it was really special and something I always remember. Just how jam-packed that was and how special that like a home game is there at Skiles. So it will be missed, that's for sure. And but I'm excited about some of the new projects that we have ahead of us.
Definitely, yeah. Tons of tradition at Skiles Field. The atmosphere and everything is great. Just the terrain, man. It needs more makeup. You know what I'm saying? It's gotta get fixed. So I'm excited, man. I drove out there the other day, out at next to Amacone Field, and driving back there, and I see the stands at the track. I'm like, holy smokes, man! It looks good. It looks good, man. I'm excited to check that out here soon. So. So what's your thoughts on, turf or grass?
I'm a big turf guy, that's for sure. And I'm kind of picky with that, just being a kicker. Like kicking in like a huge thing, like a huge chunk of grass sucks. Like, I mean, it was the worst. Like, like you have to worry about slipping and falling on your butt. And so from my kicker perspective, definitely turf. And I'd say even as like a full perspective, definitely turf. Like you said, I was really picky with that, so I'm a little biased with my answer. So, yeah, I was fortunate. Ashland High School had turf, like where I played growing up, but like it was before like Mansfield like was just putting it in when I was in high school, and a lot of our away games was always grass, so it always was hard getting used to that, going back and forth. So, but yeah, over the two, it'd definitely be turf for me.
Absolutely. What's some advice you've been given starting out your head coaching career?
Um, that's a good question. I think one thing that stayed consistent with a lot of the people I talked to was, your mind's going to be racing, with all these solutions and problems that you want to try to solve, and there's no reason on trying to solve everything at once. You want to try to focus on 2 to 3 things, and you try to be great at those. Whether that be culture stuff, philosophy, or scheme. I don't think there's no reason to try to tackle. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're coaching 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, and when you can make it easier for them, and they can play fast out of that, they don't have to think as much. That's what you want.
Absolutely. So the next question, we talked about this a little bit in the pre-pod as well. Pet peeves as a coach, man. We all have them. What would be a pet peeve you have for football?
That's a good one. It's definitely got to be when I just say any position player. Okay, I'm just gonna give you an example here. Say we're doing a receiver drill, right? And let's say we got a big old lineman walking by the ball bag, and I need some balls for the drill. I'll be like, hey, you throw me a couple balls here. They'll get the ball out and they'll throw it in. Let's say they throw a tight spiral at me or something like that, and they'll like stop in their tracks and think like, holy crap, like, do you see that? Like, I need to get some reps at quarterback. I mean, like if they throw a spiral, they think like, oh, that's that easy. I gotta start getting reps back there, coach. So that happens all the time. Or if I throw a ball to a line, they'll catch and be like, you got to get me at tight end, man, or something like that. Or it happens with punting and kicking all the time too. Someone will punt at one and say, hey, you guys need a backup punter or something. It's continued. It happened today. Like it's every day.
So wait a minute. So if Big Cam Armstrong throws this tight spiral, and he's like, "Hey, man,
Yeah.
Shepard, you better watch your back, dude. I'm right there." And he's got obviously his brother's playing D1 football as a quarterback. Is that something that Coach Mahaney's like, you know what? Open tryout tomorrow, Armstrong, get out there, man. You're under center.
Yes, it should be. That's but like I said, that happens like daily, man. I can't say it enough. So it's hilarious. So.
What about for basketball? Same type of deal, right?
Yeah, very similar, but it's definitely got to be the kids that like say, hey, look how close I am to dunking or something, like when we're done, and they'll get like halfway up the net and try to pull it down and think like they're 5 feet above the rim. That's got to definitely be up there. Or you got those guys chucking it from a half court, a step in front of half court, thinking they can shoot their shots in a game. You see that all the time too. So it's just I just laugh at it now. So
love it. Last question, and this is the real reason I had you on the podcast. Being from Ashland, there's been a few Bigfoot sightings lately within the last couple months. Are you a believer in Bigfoot?
I did see that on the news outlets. Yeah, but they're like when I moved to Shelby, all the exciting stuff happens. So no, I would say, yeah, I'm strongly. I did not believe in that. I did not believe in the Bigfoot stuff.
Really? So you got Ashland natives just trying to put themselves on the map. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're just stirring up the pot, trying to get likes on Facebook or something, man. I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, I'm not a believer. Those I've watched some of those shows on TV, and they like will hype something up like before a commercial break, like something crazy is gonna happen, and it's like it's the least entertaining like thing when you come back from commercial break. So I stopped watching those too. So yeah, I'm not a believer, that's for sure.
Gotcha. Well, Coach, thanks a lot for being on the podcast, and best of luck in the future, man.
Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate you having me, man.
Thanks a lot for listening to another episode of the Bases Loaded podcast. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bases Podcast.